Hello everyone, this is Amanda from Willow and Pip, where I make all natural goat's milk soaps and candles. Today I want to share with you how I make my all natural orange cold process soap. I have already added my liquid oils and measured out accordingly. I am adding to this a tablespoon of goat's milk powder, a teaspoon of orange peel powder, and half a teaspoon of pink French clay. You could also substitute the French clay for kaolin clay if you so choose. I like to use the pink because it offsets the orange hue of the orange peel powder just slightly, making it a softer color in the end. But it's just a personal preference. I would, however, ensure that you add one of the two clays, as clays will give your soap bar a nice slip or that silky feeling when you're using the bar. And next I'm measuring out my hard oils, and in here I have a combination of 2.47 grams of coconut oil and 225 grams of shea butter. Now to my hard oils, I am adding a mixture of distilled water and sodium hydroxide or lye. So the distilled water gets added to the lye in an amount of 226 grams for the water and 151 grams for the lye. I mix the lye water solution until it is clear, but I pour it onto the hard oils as soon as that happens while that mixture is still hot. And this is an efficiency that I use and a lot of other soap makers do use as well, as instead of waiting for your sodium hydroxide and water solution to cool to about 110 degrees and heating up your oils to 110 degrees, I just use this method so that it melts everything at once. And I have had no problems. Today I'm making only a single batch of my orange soap, but I have scaled this up to make 9 loaves at a time. And I've never once had an issue using this method for this recipe. Of course, sodium hydroxide is quite caustic, so it's really important to read any cautions on your product before you use. And I would highly recommend you do some research on sodium hydroxide before you start soap making. But after that, ensure that you are wearing, good quality gloves and safety goggles, as if any of the solution were to splash in your face, it could cause blindness. It is, again, quite caustic. It can take approximately 5 to 10 minutes for the hard oils to melt completely. I try to just gently mix the hard butters with the lye mixture as continuously as possible throughout this time. It just ensures that, especially for your shea butter, that it's not going to get scorched or burned, but it also helps speed up the process of melting down your hard butters. I've also decided not to speed this video portion up so that you have a better idea of what it looks like as it's melting and the time involved for this step in the recipe. I have, of course, included the full recipe down in the description. So I know throughout the video I am talking about measurements and different ingredients added. I'm hoping through a combination of me explaining with the video recording and the written recipe that you'll be able to follow along. Next, I'm adding my liquid oils. This was the mixture I had started with, and I haven't quite melted all the shea butter. You'll see there's still a little clump down there. That's okay at this stage to be adding the liquid oils to this batch, because as I add these oils, this will also become heated up, and so that shea butter will continue to melt. So no harm if you still have a small chunk or two of your hard butter still melting. It is, however, important that by the time you pour your batter into your soap loaf, that you do have everything fully melted. The measurements that I use and the types of oils for the liquid oil portion that I've poured in here is 56 grams of castor oil, 506 grams of olive oil, and 90 grams of grapeseed oil. You can substitute your grapeseed oil for any type of light, any other type of light oil like almond oil, rather sweet almond oil, etc. But I love using grapeseed oil. I've just added in 56.5 grams of orange 5-fold essential oils. And I just use these essential oils straight up for this recipe. I often do blends, but really, if you're looking for a citrus bar, the 5-fold orange essential oil is very nice. And it also interacts with your soap batter beautifully in that it doesn't cause your batter to solidify faster than you would want it. At this stage, you could also separate out your, your batter here into another bowl if you wanted to add any separate colorants and do a swirl. However, I find for this recipe, just keeping it simple. This is one of my higher sellers or more popular soaps. People do like it. It's just natural, it's fresh, it's very vibrant in the morning because it's an orange or a citrus, and I get really good feedback from this bar. I also personally love to use this bar. Now that my hard oils and liquid oils are fully melted, everything's integrated, it's time to use my stick blender to fully emulsify the batter. This will also ensure everything is completely incorporated. During this phase, the soap batter will start to become more viscous or more thick, and that's really what you want. You don't want to overblend, but you want to make sure that it's slightly more liquid than a pudding batter consistency. You want a slight trace if you were to, take your blender out and do a little droplet on top. You will become more accustomed to what this looks like as you try soap recipes on your own. But again, I'm showing this in real time, so it should give you an indication of approximately how long you would need to blend for as well. This step isn't entirely necessary, but I just wanted to go in and make sure there wasn't anything sticking to the bottom or the sides, and make sure my batter is just fully incorporated before I get ready to pour into the mold. For the mold pour itself, I will often put a spatula into the mold and pour onto the spatula. That just ensures that there won't be any bubbles created because the batter at this stage is fairly thick. If you pour straight in, sometimes you'll get a bubble, and you don't want that because it could ruin a bar or two when you cut your soap. So I try to remember to use the spatula method, and you'll see a lot of other soap makers do that as well. Now that I have it 3/4 pulled, I can take that spatula out and finish pouring this soap. Because I'm going to be adding dehydrated orange slices into the tops of these soaps, I decided not to add any fancy scallops, but of course you could do patterns with a spoon or a stick or anything that you like. But I like to keep it flat and just add my orange slices accordingly. You can also pre-measure out your soap slice the size of your bars so that you can make sure when you're adding these orange slices that they will be appropriate to the size that you cut in the end. I have done this so many times I don't need to do this step, but when I first started making this soap bar, I certainly did put little marker notches on the sides of the purple liner there for this soap mold. That's it for today. I hope you got a lot out of the recipe. Again, I have everything listed in the description below the video. I hope you liked the instruction and the guides. Please like for more.